The year was 1827, a time when the shadow of British rule was spreading over India. During this period, a soldier named James Lewis, who was enlisted in the army of the East India Company, suddenly became fed up with the company's schemes and cruel policies and secretly ran away from there. To hide his real identity, he changed his name and set out on the path of travel that his soul was calling him toward. After roaming across every corner of Hindustan for 2 years, in 1829 he reached the Punjab region, where destiny was waiting for him. He came across a ruined ancient city, broken ruins, scattered walls, and a strange silence of mystery hanging in the air. He had no idea that the place where he was standing was bearing witness to a history thousands of years old. But James, who was passionate about history, began to record what he saw in front of him in his notebook. He made maps, drew sketches, and captured his experiences in words. These very drawings later went on to astonish the world, because unknowingly he had discovered that ancient city which today we know as Harappa, nearly a century later. In 1920, history took a turn. John Marshall was appointed the director of the ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India. Along with Indian archaeologists, he began the excavation of Harappa, and what emerged changed the course of history itself. A city about 5,000 years old came to light. At the same time, excavations were carried out at another site along the banks of the Indus River. There heaps of human bones were found. That place was named Mohenjo-daro, meaning the mound of the dead. Gradually, excavations expanded, and the land of India began to reveal the secrets hidden within it. Many more cities, many more settlements came to light one by one. Historians discovered that all of these were part of a single civilization, one that had vanished from the world thousands of years earlier. And because all these places were found around the Indus River, it was named the Indus Valley Civilization. Today, in 2022, we know a great deal about this civilization. It is taught in books, and its stories are told in schools. But even now, 2 mysteries remain unresolved. The first is the language of the people of Harappa, the symbols, the signs. What do they mean? To this day, no one has been able to understand them. And the second mystery is how this great civilization came to an end. What was that force that reduced this prosperous empire to dust? These are the questions that still send shivers through the pages of history. Friends, the Indus Valley Civilization was a Bronze Age civilization that took human progress into a new era. This civilization spread across a vast region of present-day Pakistan, Afghanistan, and northwestern India. So far, more than 14,400 archaeological sites have been discovered, out of which more than 900 are located on Indian soil. At that time, very few civilizations were as ancient. Only a few names can be counted: the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, and Chinese civilization. Even among these, the Chinese civilization was relatively later. Therefore, historians believe that among the oldest civilizations, 3 names stand out: Indus Valley, Egyptian, and Mesopotamian. It is commonly said that Mesopotamia was the oldest civilization in human history. But in 2016, an in-depth study conducted by IIT Kharagpur and the Archaeological Survey of India shook this belief. Using advanced archaeological dating techniques, it was found that the Indus Valley Civilization could be nearly 8,000 years old. Scientists found evidence in Haryana showing signs of agriculture around 7,000 BC, pottery, farming tools, and early settlements. There were no cities at that time, but the roots of civilization had already been sown there. This period is today called the pre-Harappan phase. After 5500 BC, these people moved toward urbanization. Public buildings, trade routes, and social structures began to form. And by the time it reached 2600 BC, this civilization was at its peak. In cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, multi-story brick houses had been built. And the most astonishing thing was that the size of those bricks was the same everywhere, meaning a standardized construction system. Every house had a toilet and bathing area, and the cities had a complete drainage system. There were drains along the streets, trees along the sides, public wells, and even dustbins to maintain cleanliness. In terms of urban planning, Harappa was perhaps far more advanced than many modern Indian cities today. Yet the greatest mystery of this civilization remains unresolved: their language. To this day, We do not understand which script they wrote in or what they wanted to say. More than 4,000 artifacts have been found. So far, stone tablets, copper plates, and small tablets engraved with strange symbols. These marks have been found at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro and other archaeological sites. Today, we call these mysterious symbols the Indus script, a language that remains one of the deepest mysteries in history. From 1920 until today, more than 100 attempts have been made to decipher this mysterious Indus script, but the result has always been the same. The mystery remains intact. Hundreds of attempts, countless theories, yet no one has been able to determine what these symbols truly mean. However, after years of effort and the discovery of thousands of inscriptions, some things can now be stated with certainty. The first thing is that when these people wrote their language, they did not write left to right, but right to left. Unlike Hindi or English, which are written from the left, their writing style was somewhat like Arabic, starting from the right and ending on the left. How do we know this? On many stone tablets, it has been observed that when the writer reached the end, the characters became smaller and more compressed, as if trying to squeeze words into the remaining space. This situation was always found on the left side, making it clear that the direction of writing was right to left. The second point is that wherever the Indus script was found, a specific pattern was observed. Some symbols were written at the top, and below them an image of an animal was drawn, sometimes a rhinoceros, sometimes an elephant, sometimes a bull, and sometimes a tiger. But the surprising thing was that the most frequently depicted creature was not an ordinary animal, but a mysterious, unicorn-like being, one that perhaps never even existed in reality. This raises the question, was it a symbol of a deity, a clan emblem, or did it carry some hidden meaning? The third point is that the stones on which this writing was found appear to be large slabs, but in reality, they were very small seals, measuring only about 2.5 to 5 square centimeters, small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. Carving such detailed script into such a small space is nothing short of a miracle. And the fourth point is that when historians compiled all these signs and symbols, they found a total of about 400 different signs. Think about it, English has only 26 alphabets, while the Indus script has more than 400 symbols. This suggests that the script may not have been just a language, but a deeply coded system, one that remains one of the greatest puzzles in human history. Many symbols of the Indus script appear extremely mysterious. Some resemble human figures, some look like fish, while others resemble turtles, crabs, insects, and birds. The vast number and diversity of these symbols forced historians to believe that this was not a simple alphabetic script, but a logos script, meaning each symbol represented a word or a sound. To understand this with an example, the Egyptian hieroglyphic script was similar. You may have seen symbols on ancient Egyptian walls, birds, eyes, snakes, and various other signs. Historians have fully deciphered that language. They know which symbol represents which sound. For example, a bird symbol might represent the sound A, and a foot symbol might represent B. Each symbol has a fixed sound value. Based on this, anyone can write their name in Egyptian script. Suppose I want to write the name Druver, would be a hand symbol for D, a rope for H, and so on. Now the question arises, why have we been able to understand Egyptian but not the Indus script? The answer lies in a historical discovery, the Rosetta Stone. About 200 years ago, during excavations in Egypt, this stone was found, with Egyptian hieroglyphs written on the top and the same text written in ancient Greek below. Says Greek was already known. This stone acted like an ancient Google Translate, making it possible to understand the unknown language. But the Indus Valley suffered a misfortune. We never found a Rosetta Stone. No tablet was discovered that contained both the Indus script and its translation in another known language. Therefore, we have no basis for comparison. Imagine someone giving you a page written in Chinese without telling you that such a language exists, and without any translation, would you be able to understand it? Probably not. That is exactly the situation with the Indus script. Still, instead of giving up, historians have identified certain patterns, repeated symbols, and structural similarities on the basis of which they continue trying to solve this mystery. For example, if I ask you to name an English word that starts with W, you might immediately say water, weather, wire, watermelon. But if I ask for a word that starts with WZ or WQ, you pause B, because such combinations do not exist. Every language follows certain patterns. English has 26 letters, but you cannot combine them randomly. Similarly, patterns have been found within the Indus script. Some symbols always appear after certain symbols, while some combinations never occur together. This shows that the script had its own grammar rules. We just haven't fully them yet. Another interesting observation is a star-like or jar-shaped symbol that appears repeatedly and is considered the most common. This symbol often appears at the very end of the text, raising the suspicion that it may have functioned like a full stop. Now the story gets even more intriguing. In Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq and Iran excavations revealed stones bearing scripts similar to the Indus script, since Mesopotamia had its own language and script. How did Indus symbols reach there? This clearly indicates direct contact between the two civilizations, not just trade of goods, but also ideas, symbols, and perhaps messages. The real twist is that in Mesopotamian versions of the Indus-like script, the jar symbol appears twice, consecutively in some places, something never seen at Indus Valley sites. Historians suggest that Mesopotamians may not have copied the script exactly, but used its symbols to write their own language, just as Devanagari is used to write both Hindi and Marathi. This implies that the Indus writing system may have reached at an international level even in ancient times, completely changing our understanding of early history. When we look at Indus Valley cities, we again find consistent patterns. Every city had two parts: the lower town, surrounded by strong walls, and the citadel, an elevated fortified area usually in the western part of the city. The citadel housed important structures like marketplaces, workshops, and public gathering areas. These walls protected against wild animals and floods, as nature, not humans, was the greatest enemy at that time. Historians believe the Indus Valley Civilization had no natural enemies and lived in harmony with nature. There is no solid evidence of any foreign invasion. The civilization seems to have declined gradually on its own. This is reflected in places like Mohenjo-daro, vividly portrayed in Hrithik Roshan's film Mohenjo-daro, The Great Bath. One of the most famous structures was a massive water tank, one of the world's oldest public bathing, with baked bricks and waterproofed with natural bitumen. The most shocking fact is that no temples, palaces, royal tombs, armies, or weapons have been found. This suggests a society based on equality and organization rather than kings or priests. Some historians call it a utopian idea, while others consider it the most advanced and perhaps the only peace-based civilization in human history. So what led to its end? Archaeological records show a rapid decline between 1900 BC and 1300 BC. Cities were abandoned, drainage systems failed, trade with Mesopotamia ended, and by 600 BC, the Indus Valley Civilization had completely disappeared. Theories include drying of rivers, deforestation, and deadly epidemics. Whatever the reason, a civilization that lasted nearly 5,000 years vanished, leaving behind mysteries that still puzzle us today. Centuries later, James Lewis unknowingly rediscovered those ruins and reminded the world that once a great, peaceful, and extraordinary civilization thrived on this land, defeated by time, but immortal in history. So friends, this was the story of the mysterious Indus Valley Civilization, gone thousands of years ago, yet still alive through its mysteries. If you found this video informative and interesting, like it, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you receive more such mysterious and informative videos first. Asterisk.